Well, hi everybody, just a quick video here I made mostly for myself just to document the fact that I've done the first service on this bike after hitting the 300-mile mark. I got the little service indicator wrench to come on, so it was time to do that. So I changed the oil, adjusted the valves. I go through that very quickly here. Again, it was just to show one video and record for history that I've done it for the purposes of keeping the warranty up. I'm not doing a how-to here. There's plenty of other videos to do that, but I wanted to walk you through it a little bit and also give my opinion and commentary on how it was to do and whether it's a headache or not. So, one thing I did want to mention, in the USA we are not required to keep going back to the dealer for regular services. We can perform these ourselves provided that we document that we've done it, and of course you want to use the factory filters and so on to do that. Oil change on this, pretty easy. There is a little bit of drippage that gets down here onto the frame and stuff, and that's because of course we're doing this on a bike that does not have a center stand. So I'm going to get the center stand for it. I'm going to rectify that because I don't understand why it doesn't have one. Every other freaking Royal Enfield model seems to come with one, but this one doesn't for some reason. So I'm going to order that, but yeah, generally it's very, very simple to do. Plenty of videos out there on how to do the oil change and the valve checks. I'm not going to go over here. We're just going to go ahead and proceed with it and document the fact that it was done. All right, we're doing the first oil change. Just recording this for posterity of the warranty. 317 miles. Let this drain, and we'll go to the other side and do the filter. Alright, I don't want to turn this into an oil video or an oil thread, but I will say this. Royal Enfield wants you to use an SL API oil. Now, SL is kind of an obsolete designation already, and it was replaced by SN, is the current one. And they want 1540. It's very difficult to find this combination. I had to go through the shelves at the local auto parts store and wound up with good old Shell Rotella. Now, the only thing I noticed after I bought this was we are full synthetic, and the owner's manual says partial synthetic. But since this is the only thing I could find with an S API designation, that's what we're going to go with. I'm sure there will be hysteria in the comments section below. Alright, we got the filter out. Here's the old one. It's a little dirty. It's not terrible, but it's definitely a little discolored. We've got our brand new official Royal Enfield genuine filter to go in there. And one comment on these crash bars. I've read some people that have had issues getting the filter out, depending on what bars I guess they purchase. The only one thing that's a problem here is this bolt here. You can't get a ratchet on. You have to use a wrench. But the other two are fine. You can access them both just fine with a regular socket wrench. And again, just for the purposes of warranty, showing that I'm using genuine Royal Enfield and the correct part number. Alright, I found the exhaust valve in spec, which kind of surprised me. Okay, the intake side was actually a little bit tight, so I had to adjust that. And this one's a real delight to get to. I'll comment about the valve adjustment here in the next segment. So this is the level that you have to take the bike down to do the valve adjustment. You take the gas tank off, which isn't terribly hard. And then you have to fish these two covers out, which I just showed you. I was doing the valve adjustment. So let's talk about the valve adjustment here. This has to be done after the initial service at 300. It has to be done every 3,000 miles. Now, if you're not able to do this yourself, you're going to have to pay somebody to do it, and that's going to get costly. If you're able to do it yourself, you're certainly going to save a lot of money. Is it a hassle? Yes. I don't mind doing stuff like this, and I don't mind adjusting valves because I have to do it all the time on that thing. But I think if this is for a beginner, if you're a beginning motorcycle rider or a beginning rider mechanic, this might become irritating after a while. It depends on how many miles, of course, you're putting on your bike. But I would not, and this doesn't bother me, but I probably would not recommend this for somebody who either can't afford to have it done or isn't capable of doing it themselves and would mind having to do it with such frequency. So we'll see how it goes over time, if it's really going to bother me or not. Now, the one good thing is it's a nut adjustment, which means you just loosen the nut, you turn the adjuster, you tighten the nut when you get it to where you want, boom, you're done. There's no shims to deal with. My Triumph Bonneville has shims. You have to take the camshafts out to replace the shims. That's a giant cluster. It's time consuming. You gotta order the right shims, make sure you measure everything right, or you gotta take it to the dealer and have them do it, and it costs a fortune because, you know, they're taking part of the engine apart. So this is a better idea. It is a little fiddly because your access to the intake valve is pretty limited, but it is doable by the home mechanic. I just did it in a couple of minutes, so it's not terrible, but getting it to this point, of course, is the issue that you're going to have. So you have to take the fuel line off, you have to unplug this. This hose here with this clamp is a lot of fun to get the first time. There's a connector there, and another hose that just kind of plucks off. And that's kind of it, other than unbolting the 2 bolts for the gas tank. So it's not involved, but it is a job. You know, it's going to take you at least an hour, I would say, to do this. Probably longer if it's your first time. So be aware that there is maintenance involved with this lower priced motorcycle.